Missouri elementary schools may have to turn back the clock on how classrooms operate. A bill introduced this week would require teachers to go back to pen and paper. Blake Showalter joins us live in the studio to tell us more about it. Blake?
Kathy, in a world that revolves around technology, Missouri lawmakers are proposing a new bill that would require students up until the 5th grade to do the majority of their assignments by pencil and paper. I talked with teachers at Chaffee Elementary about how this could affect their classrooms.
I'm confident with pencil and paper.
5th grade science teacher Caitlin Moxie says while she believes technology can create a lot of advantages, it can also be harmful.
That's the first thing that they want to do is they want to get on the Chromebook. They want to get on, like I taught at a school with iPads. That was a huge issue.
Moxie says she's fine with state government getting involved in the classroom, but believes there should be limits.
As of right now, I'm okay with them trying to, I guess, have more control in the classroom and what goes on in our school system, but I guess depending on how far they want to take it.
I spoke with Chaffee Superintendent Dr. Sean Nix, who says he doesn't see many positives or negatives with the proposed bill, but understands what lawmakers want to accomplish.
They need those foundations, they need that basics in doing this, and that's what I'm assuming that the intent behind this is that we make sure that our kids have those basics before we throw them completely onto a screen.
Moxie and Dr. Nix say their biggest concern is being able to fund supplies.
I think the biggest thing is funding for textbooks, because digital textbooks are a way that a lot of places have went, and we just need to make sure that we utilize the funds that we have been given, and a lot of that has been put into technology.
Are we going to get extra funding to be able to afford, papers, pencils, because sometimes those go short, especially towards the end of the year, and then what are we supposed to do?
Dr. Nix says his district would be fine if the bill passes, but hopes lawmakers make sure they talk to educators first and to make sure there is money to make the changes. Kathy, back to you.
All right, Blake, thank you.